And they are off to the races. Can you believe this?
Okay, let's see who's going to be first. We have some really good stuff coming up, and we're going to tie it all together, and it's going to be fun, especially when we have all of you guys coming together in the chat, which we absolutely love, pulling people together and kind of Israel! Hi, Israel! Thank you so much, Israel. Yay! Oh my goodness. And then we have this one. Honey, my eyesight's bad. Which one is that?
LBF 5984.
Why, thank you guys for showing up. This is absolutely wonderful. So we do have some good stuff. Sound check. Is everything okay with the sound? There's Christine Love. You can't find it?
No, I can find it, but it won't open it up for me.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Yeah, have you guys had technical glitches? Have they gotten worse?
This is what it did to what's her name the other day.
Yeah, it's just, thank you, Zeno. I'm glad you could hear us. Glad it sounds good. No, I like to follow along. So I have a computer open and it won't work. So it just happens all the time. Same thing with my phone too. And I mean, we've gotten a lot of newer equipment, but they just shut us down constantly.
Yeah, thanks for sticking in there with us.
RCB in the house. Christine Love, ARHG1DE. Mark Smith. Awesome to see everybody. I'm glad they alert us too. That's good news, Jen. Hola. K-Heads. Yeah, the electronics are just getting worse, and worse. And, here we are.
So you know what I had to do? I mean, just to get this open, I had to go into the settings inside the computer and I had to hit play next in queue. And I think we have it going, but it shouldn't be that hard. You should just be able to hit go. But yeah, they're pummeling us. But thanks you guys for hanging in there. We're going to try to give you a good show. Good information coming up that I really enjoy, and I think you guys might enjoy too. We have really interesting stuff when it comes to those horned humanoid beings. What are they? And all the comets, all the changes. What's going on?
JW in the house. Good to see you. And Brother Peter, we love you too. And we're through your way. If you're still in Arizona, we were in Arizona ourselves. Just a little while ago. It was a long trip. Today's been a long day. Besides seeing people, this is our fourth thing we're doing today.
Me. You know, there are some people I would have loved so much to stop and see, but we are on such a time crunch. And someday I want to do leisurely stuff and go see people. That'll be great.
Yeah, well, we were debating taking the trailer or not, and we ended up not. But if we do go out with the trailer, then we could take our time next time out. This was how we started the morning with the fall of the archons. The global consciousness revolution has begun. Absolutely. It is a revolution in consciousness. It's all about consciousness. And, it's just good to see so many people awakening in the world, but we have a long way to go. A real long way to go still. And here you go. This is 40,000 feet in the air over the North Atlantic Sea. Clear, sunny day for the most part. What are they? Could be anything from this distance. But, yeah, you got to wonder, what's really going on? I think there's a lot of visitation. I think we have tons of beings watching excitedly, wondering when are the rest of the humans going to get the bigger picture.
I know, and JW says, how was your horned being free weekend? Well, you know what? We did invite everyone to come, but I mean, they just didn't show up. So you don't want to judge people by their horns.
Okay, well, yeah. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but what is this? I don't know. But we did see on the way coming back, we saw a few interesting things as we were driving at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and it's pitch black out. And yeah, when you're out in the desert, you could see stuff. Yeah. Meanwhile, here you go. NASA is going to be hosting a live event on Wednesday the 19th, 2 days from today. to share the latest images of interstellar comet Third Eye at Last, collected by several NASA missions. Tune in. Well, this picture looks very blue Kachina-ish to me.
It does. And what is it with that light anyhow? I mean, it's very, very important. It's in our legends. The indigenous, they story tell it down to their children and grandchildren. There's something to it. There's an energy to it for sure.
Yeah, Robbie said tons of crazy looking things in the sky yesterday. Asthma, strange clouds. And when we were in Nevada too, it's like they plastered chemtrails one day, and then next morning everybody's sick. And it was pretty clear skies, very clear, and I even made comment on how fresh the air seemed. And then we saw them spraying, and where'd they spray? Just over the town, not like 50 miles to the north, south, east, or west, just directly over town. And what happens? Everybody in town seems to get sick all of a sudden. Yeah, it's just so blatant. It's just so obvious. And those doing the spraying obviously think they're above any laws that humans should be abiding by.
What's really sad is that they are, because they've passed laws, but nothing happens. I haven't seen anything, legitimate or honest happen when it comes to the spraying. They just keep going.
Oh, okay. It wasn't your asthma kicking up. It was plasma. Well, that's good. That is good, unless it's plasma that leaves scars like the Grand Canyon.
Look, I see a Wayne sighting. This is great.
Awesome. Evening, guys. Evening. Just wild times. And I gotta say, why did NASA choose this photo? And it even looks bluer than I remembered it originally. So are they trying to give us the impression of blue Kachina? Would they want that, or would they not want that? And, you got to always ask what never a straight answer is really intending to do.
Things I'm picking up with this energetically, I think, are going to be very, very different from, because I see a lot of science-backed evidence and science this and science that, and that's great. That's wonderful. But with an entity like this, what I pick up is it can show whatever it wants to in this little teeny tiny sliver of information that we can see with our eyes. I mean, the light spectrum that's visible to us is so tiny compared to the spectrum that we have. To me, it's nothing to show itself as something, common to us, if that's what it wants to be. I'm watching what's going on with people that are going through huge awakenings, massive changes in their lives. They are readjusting, they're adjusting, they're seeing things that people are waking up on a huge, huge level. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to this Atlas female.
Regina, good to see you over in Houston. And Ginger Albrecht's listening and driving. Be safe. It makes me think I have to go through, because there was a few other little videos and photos that we took of interesting stuff that we still have to dig out and share. There's so much going on now. This was the newest photo that hit the internet of Three Eye at Last. At last. And a comet with infinite fuel has zero thrust decay for 182 days. 1,200 plus comets checked. All fade 20 to 50%. This one, flat. No wobble. Yes, absolutely. We've shared that we've gotten that this is under conscious control, and it has a purpose. It's on a mission. Cindy was saying, you look at it here from a 3D perspective and we see one thing, but if we could see it from other dimensions, other aspects, like if you were viewing this from a 5D perspective, what would that look like?
That's what I'm saying, because I honestly believe it's showing itself to be something somewhat normal and common. But in the other dimensions, it's not. When you look into this 3D realm, you can see things right in front of you with your two eyes. But think about other things like, thought forms, radio waves, things of that nature, things that are just very, very different than what we are used to looking at. So I think this is something in camouflage. I think it's a positive thing. So something that is going to bring about massive change to the human consciousness in a positive direction, even though it might look ugly in your world. Maybe you're going through something horrific. There's something good going to come out of it.
I think a lot of good already has, because it's gotten a lot of people to question things. The more you can get people to question, the better off we are. The closer we get to actual, real, substantial change. It's through realization that, it hasn't been exactly what we were told going on planet Earth. When you look at this, right, it looks pretty much like so many meteor, or what they call meteor fireballs, that we see all day, all night, all the time, right? There's been a lot of fireballs all over the world. And I got a little sampling of spots just in the last few days. Now, we do have the Leonids going on, so that happens every year. But we're told, again, these are just rocks, and these are just, again, icy snowballs coming through, and there's asteroids that follow like the path of comets, and then you go through debris trails on a regular basis. But what if that's not really the reality? What if there's mass migrations of beings and ships, just throwing it out there, that no, but this is the time of year to go to that party on Alpha Centauri? Hey, yeah, well, of course, we're going to go this year too. I mean, nobody's ever brought that up, not in any sort of official news business. But what if it is the case that some of these things that we take to be, it's just a stream of rocks that were set in motion so long ago, et cetera, by this comet. But what if it's actually, a tailgate party going on, and beings are going somewhere for an event? Isn't that possible?
I think it's highly possible. And, we're kind of the last ones in on the party. We're the last ones in on the information. And, rightfully so, because I don't think humans can handle a whole lot. I mean, we struggle so much with different religions and trying to accept other people's belief systems. I don't think we do a good job. Maybe some people do, but I find acceptance difficult for the humans, a lot of humans, because of our conditioning, not because we're bad, but because of what we've been taught and what we think to be is true. So to enter into a galactic energy, if a galactic energy steps in here to our human nature, what are we going to do? Sometimes I think if I were an alien flying by, I might just lock my doors and hurry.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of those planets under that control. But things are changing. So this is again, meteor fireball over Missouri and 11 other states: Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. And when you look at these things, they're almost always exactly the same. They do the same thing. They always seem to get bright in one spot and then just move on to another place. Like I was saying, look at the photos that we get of meteor fireballs, and yeah, there does seem to be a resemblance to Third Eye Atlas. And is it possible that so many things are actually ships? They're just ships, and they're people going to and fro. And this was on the 14th. You had another one seen over 7 states and over in Ontario. And then we have one on the 14th that was seen in Connecticut and 12 other states on the East Coast, if you get the picture. Florida and 3 other states in the South. Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. It's a repeat show. And then even over in the UK and other countries, over France as well as England and Wales. Yeah, I think it's just a lot more busy out there than, they tell us. This over here is talking about the Red Shields. Aided in destroying Tartaria. They hid the Great Reset. Was this the purpose behind 1776? How many Freemasons involved? The original Constitution did not have a Bill of Rights. This says normal men, along with a few founders like Patrick Henry, fought for the Bill of Rights because it wasn't originally put in there. So, some have proposed that there was a Great Reset in 1776. It's interesting, really, to look at it. I think that the resets go on all the time. It's just continual. It just focuses on different areas at different times.
I think so. There's so much going on at different areas, but I know with each structured change, there is a interesting cosmic energy influencing it.
Yes, and we know this is true from, there we go, from 1813 to 1815. Nathan Mayer Rothschild was instrumental, almost single-handedly, financing the British war effort, organizing a shipment of bullion to the Duke of Wellington's armies across Europe, as well as arranging payment of British financial subsidies to continental allies. The reality is there are entities that have made a ton funding both sides of a conflict, both. And you have Rothschild loans to the Holy See. Yes, they're actually loaning money to the Catholic Church. When you look at this again, what happened really with the War of 1812? 1812 was a very interesting year, but 1871 maybe even more interesting. And, it's just one event after another that's always been about control. And the Catholic Church, they literally did back Mussolini and Hitler in World War II officially. Very interesting when we look at the scope of everything in the bigger picture. When we look to also, I've gotten videos demonetized and actually taken down in past years when we talked about how Henry Ford was very, very active in the war effort in World War II. And again, not just on one side. That's the thing, not just on one side. There's money to be made on both sides. The real story of Tartaria, I don't know if we'll ever know unless, the ETs or the ultra-terrestrials will show us, give us a big vision in the sky and show us our actual history to know every detail of what was going on. It feels like it was kind of a breakaway civilization of sorts, very high technology. Again, why don't we build things so beautiful as they did then? We just can't? Is that what it is? We really can't? We don't have that technology? Well, why not the will to actually build things that are absolutely beautiful with intricate details? Something has seriously changed in that time period.
With Tartaria, what I do get when I feel into it is this is a energetic technology. It's a time and place where technology is, they understand it. And another entity coming into the Kali Yuga knocked that energetic technology right out of its place, and they're kind of still here and they're lingering on today. That's some of the information that I got.
JW, enjoy that glass of wine. I wonder if it's red or white. And enjoy your roasted red peppers. Very, very yummy. We salute you too, and the fight against the darkness that we know you're a part of, pushing back against. So, yeah, Max says we could build beautiful, but they just lack the heart. Maybe that's it. Maybe they don't want to build things that have a higher frequency.
I don't think so. That would not behoove their energies that they're trying to do, this energy of control that they're trying to bring about us. That's really important. They push the light down as hard as possible. And if we don't stick together and if we don't help each other out where we can, that's going to overtake. It takes beings of light to really shine as bright as they possibly can to get through this. And we all do our best here. We do our best as much as possible, whenever possible. Those that just simply hold the door for others, that smile at someone you don't know, that wave at someone you don't know. All of that is really important right now. I mean, things are tough for people. They're not easy, and you never know when that one smile might just save somebody's life. And I'm not kidding. Sometimes you look at that and people are so down, but they say, you know what? Somebody smiled at me, or somebody did something nice for me today, and that pulled me through my day. Those messages count.
John and Jen, thank you for your support, becoming evolutionary manifestors on YT.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And, Emma, somehow I can't imagine you singing and sounding like your dad, but, no, that's a hard one to believe. I'm sure that you're...
Well, maybe her dad has a good voice.
Maybe he has a little bit of a higher pitch voice.
You never know. It could be.
It could be, but yes, a beautiful mother that I'm sure sings beautifully.
Indeed.
Meanwhile, this is not a good thing. Dozens killed. I've seen some showing as high as almost 100 people. Oh, this is a bridge collapse. It's a mine collapse in the Congo. Just horrible situation. We send out our prayers and best wishes and intentions to everybody involved in this search operations. There we go. We're reconnected. I don't know if that's just negative energy or what, but I'm blocking that one off. There's horrible video. It's very, very gut-wrenching out there. Just a horrible thing. And it makes me think of all the Anunnaki stories coming here for gold and resources. I think it's real. I think it's absolutely real. And I think we are still humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, are still working the planet for the slave masters. And, again, it's just changed systems in appearance, but it's still ongoing. And these people were working in very lousy conditions. There's no other way to put it. Miserable conditions. And the whole area just collapsed on down. Just terrifying. And again, we send prayers and positive frequencies to everybody involved, family members and all.
This might be a news story, but in my eyes, when I look at this, I just think of it's like another Anunnaki thing that is put together and that they do to people and make them work and make them slave. And then something like this happens. It's no sweat off their back. It's not like they mind, which is so heartbreaking. And that's what I see when I read the news. It upsets me, but I think it's important we see the other sides of things. This isn't just, a thing. These beings are beings that we need to deal with, and we need to kind of suppress them a little bit more, because every life counts. We really love life. We want life to thrive, and they just simply don't seem like they care. They just have this goal that they want to reach, and it makes me sad.
Absolutely. Inspire me. Welcome. Good to see you as always. Much love being fashionably late there. Here you have a landslide hits bus, killing 6. Heavy rain pounds central Vietnam. Another horrible situation, and there was a couple other landslides too. It's just there's been an obvious, unusual amount of rain in some places that has done catastrophic damage. And, at the same time, there's very, very serious drought conditions in other places. You would think with all the geoengineering, cloud seeding going on, all that should be a thing of the past. Why is it not? Is it that difficult? I don't think so. I just think it's a lack of desire is what it is. Sakurajima over in Japan has been very busy, multiple explosive eruptions. This just happened yesterday, and also, I mean, it was erupting just the previous week as well. There's been definitely an uptick in volcanic activity. I'll bring it up because I'm sensing something earthquake-wise, looking at patterns. It just feels like something's building, and it's been very, very quiet, really, for a few days. 5.3 is the biggest quake. You have a couple of 5.3s, a 5.2, a couple of 5.0s. That's it. That's not a lot of activity. And been watching them pop up around, south of Cascadia and the San Andreas. It's interesting. You've been watching this energy tailing off over here. So yeah, it feels like something might be building, but we'll see.
We will see. I mean, usually it does. Something like this happens and something else pops off. So we're watching. Yeah,
absolutely. Then you have at least 6 lost, dead, unfortunately, and a 5-year-old missing as that atmospheric river is pounding California. And there was flooding in Vegas. We left one day early because we knew the storms were coming. So it did get pretty intense in some areas. Just another atmospheric river, and it takes lives. It's really, really sad. Again, we put our prayers and best intentions for everybody involved over here. A father lost his life after trying to rescue his 5-year-old daughter from the ocean. Family was at Garapata State Beach on Highway 1, California, when the child was pulled out by waves that were estimated between 15 and 20 feet high. Gotta question what you're doing when it's that nasty out there on the beach in the first place with a little one. I would have been just a wreck with having kids around there.
I wouldn't have done that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't. I wouldn't do it myself. University of Nebraska took 1/4 pounder patty, headed to McDonald's, ran some tests on it. 1,300 different strains of DNA in that 1/4 pound patty. 1,300 different strains. Holy sheep dip.
That's pretty interesting. That's a lot of different strains. I mean, what are we supposed to do with this information? I know that, I do my best and eat as clean as possible, but that's all any of us can do.
Yeah, again, it's challenging in this world. It's very challenging. If you don't know exactly where your food's coming from, then you really don't know. 1,300 different strains of DNA in 1/4 pounder? Holy cow. And then we're getting to this. Is this a fake? Is it a fake? Is it just somebody's joke? Looks like a pretty good joke if it is. So this is Philadelphia. Human skulls with horns discovered in a burial mound in Sayre, Bradford County, Pennsylvania in the 1880s. Oh, to actually be like one of those pioneers out there, or be able to go and do some of the investigations when they were digging up all those giant bodies. Hundreds, I think it's safe to say thousands of giant bodies were dug up between, say, 1800 and present. Most of them, again, seem to somehow make their way to the Smithsonian, never to be seen again. This really gets you thinking. If this is not a fake and it's actually real, what the heck is it? Horny projections extend 2 inches above the eyebrows. The skeletons were 7 feet tall. Other than that, anatomically normal. Besides the protrusions, completely human. Estimated that the bodies have been buried around 1200 AD. So, wow, 1880s, 680 years in the ground and dug up. Is this for real? The find was made by a reputable group of antiquarians, including Pennsylvania's state historian. No kidding. And dignitary of the Presbyterian Church, Dr. G.P. Donahue, and 2 professors, A.B. Skinner of the American Investigating Museum and W.K. Moorhead of Phillips Academy, Andover, Massachusetts. The bones were sent to American Investigating Museum in Philadelphia, where they were later claimed to have been stolen and never seen again. Wow. All right. So I was just out there, did the Illuminati go and steal them to cover up some of our ancient history? Then we have human skull on display in French Museum. Philadelphia, human skulls with horns discovered in a burial mound in Sayre again. But okay, over here, New York, horned human skeletons unearthed just south of Elmira and Wellsville, New York. I've been through Elmira. Yeah, Texas, a 30-plus-year-old male skeleton unearthed in a mining area of El Paso. Skull had 2 small horns protruding from the forehead area. Witness of this was a Texas Ranger investigating a murder. That sounds like it should be legit. Now, maybe the Texas Ranger was fooled, but, you got to really think there was something to it. At one time, the horns were purported to be signs of kingship. What? Alexander the Great was also depicted with horns on some of his coins. Now we're going down another rabbit hole. Wow. Now, I've had people say that, they're actually symbolic of chakras, but there's no chakras there where the horns are in humans. And we've also talked about Moses, because there's depictions of Moses with horns. Now, people have said it's just simply the glory of God after getting the, 10 Commandments and everything coming down. He was beaming with energy. But why in the shape of horns? In 1996, a UFO was believed to have crashed in Varginha. We've talked about that case. It's a very famous case in Brazil. Many people saw this, including 3 young girls walking home from work with an MJJ outdoor umbrella. They saw the entities described them. They described the entities as between 4 to 5 feet tall, making strange buzzing sounds similar to the sound of bees. They had 3 rounded protuberances on top of their heads, like that of horns, oily brownish skin, big red eyes, and a strong smell like ammonia. I think, is there some aliens out there? Are there some horny aliens? Well, it's debatable.
I'm sure there's all kinds.
It's pretty wild, when you look at it, but just think about that. This is, giving you some documented cases of people pretty reputable. This I just wanted to share before we go a little deeper into some of the other horn stuff. This is in the Sudan. Look at these. Now, these are entrances apparently into, the pyramids. But look at the shape. Because, they remind me completely of down in Peru. The H-shaped blocks that look like they're coming off a assembly line in Peru. Oh, man. And, I'm going to wait a little bit to share something else about Peru that Mama Jan shared with us that I thought was really cool. And I hope that Peru is on the bucket list for us. So let's go over here. This, I asked the AI, what about the human skulls with horns? And of course, it's going to give you the story, but it'll say there's no verifiable records, no official excavation report, no peer-reviewed scientific publications supporting the existence of such a discovery as humanoid beings with horns. Say again, some say it could be totally fabricated or exaggerated. There is no official evidence because, again, the system cleans up the evidence.
They do a pretty good job of it too, and then they have things all over the internet saying that, well, there's no sufficient evidence of blah blah blah. So what do you do? What do you do?
Absolutely. You keep trudging forward and you keep questioning the narrative. Always question the narrative. You have probably seen these before. These are, again, mostly known as the Paracas skulls. Red-haired giants. Lovelock Cave in Nevada. Sarah Winnemucca. Winnemucca is, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, Winnemucca.
Anything you say is perfect, dear.
Well, obviously that's not the case, but thank you. Anyway, northern Nevada, the famous tale of red-haired giants, very similar to the beings in Kandahar. And we say beings in the plural because there's actually been other instances of soldiers, U.S. military, that have reported seeing giants in Kandahar. In fact, there was a report of another soldier that was estimating 12 to 16 foot tall giant that they caught on infrared. Now, a lot of these skulls, are to beings that are not quite that big. But for one, where the spinal cord goes into the skull, you call that the foramen magnum, it's different. It's definitively different. It's not Homo sapiens sapiens. Also, when we look at the different plates that make up the skull, it's different. This is not Homo sapiens sapiens. Now, there are some cases of Homo sapiens sapiens that have intentionally elongated the skull, but it's not the case with all of them. Again, the cranial size is larger in most of these skulls. So this is fascinating, and the DNA is not the same. And you find these skulls not just over in Peru around Nazca with the Nazca lines, with Pumapuca. I mean, all this fascinating artifacts that clearly, to me, show a lot of interaction with what we might call ultra-terrestrial beings. But it's also in the Black Sea area. It's around... again, it's around Ukraine that's in war again. We were talking about how there's been 3 major wars in the last 300 years there. Are they just trying to get rid of all the evidence of things like these elongated skulls and any other evidence that there could be of, giants and non-Homo sapiens sapiens that have been on the planet with us?
Well, they kind of have to hold the narrative. So there's that.
And you were making contact with the Kandahar giant.
Yeah.
You were connecting telepathically. And, again, when a being dies in the physical, we go to what we would call the astral. We go, you might view it as 4D or the astral plane. It's part of the same experience. Again, when we sleep, we're in the astral. And man, I was flying last night. It was so much fun. I love those. I love those controlled flying dreams. There's very little that's more fun than that.
That Kandahar giant was interesting because he kind of, he popped in and he let it be known that there was a lot of fear and that his people had been killed and the rest were spread about. So there might be more out there that are still alive, but they were really given a very bad name. They had to survive, just like with anything else. They want to live. So. And
they were hunted down. They absolutely were hunted down, and the system hunted them down because they were a greater threat to the system. So obviously they're not part of the system if they were hunted down by the system. That's a good takeaway. Robbie was saying Beldar conehead. Remember the coneheads? 3 rows of sharpened teeth. Yeah, absolutely. Multiple rows of teeth, 6 digits, 6 fingers, 6 toes. These are all things that we have seen in many different places. So the most common deviating skull is the elongated skull. Many of these skulls have been found in Peru, especially right near the Nazca lines and the Paracas Peninsula. New finds are still being made with some regularity. For example, by grave robbers who offer them on the black market because people want to buy. They want to have their own, cone head skull. The skulls are characterized by their flat, elongated form, and in many cases, the hair and mummified skin is still attached because these beings were alive not too long ago. Not too long ago. In fact, I think when we were talking about was there a big reset in 1776, I would say yes. I think there was a major reset somewhere, between around 1700 and 1800. There was a major reset, and in fact, I personally think that they used very, very advanced technology to create the Great Cascadian Quake at that time, which was probably somewhere between a 9.0 and a 9.5 that hit the U.S. West Coast, again, Oregon, Washington, Vancouver area, that washed away whole Indian villages and literally changed the whole West Coast itself. It didn't look the same before that quake.
No, I mean, a lot of things have changed, and I think we're going to have upcoming change. Do I think it's going to be catastrophic? I don't. Not in our lifetime. I don't think we're quite there yet. I believe we're going to see a lot of change with society as we have. Are we going to have an instant change? I'm watching Three Eye Atlas. I don't know. That could create an instant change.
Yes. And so Sin Havoc says giants all over the world. We're only in 20% of the world. We agree with that. Absolutely. Some of the giants had, invited humans for barbecue, but humans being the barbecue. It's on an individual basis, I think. And there probably were certain families, groupings of these giants that were less hospitable than others. When we look at the depictions of them down in Patagonia, they're expressively friendly. And, again, it depends. We shouldn't generalize, but always, of course, if you meet a giant, you're going to be cautious because, again, they're so much bigger and stronger.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good points being made, and AI robots seem to be rapidly being rolled out. Yes, they are, Max Meeks. They certainly are. And then KK says, the dams that destroyed many native villages, they sure did. They sure did. And they just kind of keep sweeping that under the carpet. Whoever writes our history books and our science books, that's what they do.
Oh man, Sin Havoc, I love those old maps. That's one of my favorites. So, these skulls have been sold on the black market. And they are literally in buildings and stores and museums down there. Very, very humble ones too, not big fancy ones as far as the museums and stores. These similar skulls have been found in other areas: Bolivia, France, Norway, Malta, Egypt, Iraq, Ukraine, Siberia, South Africa, and Vanuatu. Current science claims this was caused by an old custom where people tied the baby's head so tightly they were deformed. Yeah, no, not all the cases. There's no way, because again, the number of skull plates is different, the shape, the placement. I think what they were doing was emulating beings that they probably held in some either degree of respect or fear, one of the two.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was going on. And Robbie, you must say, what did it say if you asked the question about Comet 3i Atlas?
Yep, the Piri Reis and other maps are just fascinating. So, they've also found the skulls in Egypt and wall decorations and figures of people with those long heads. Absolutely. This is a replica of King Tutankhamun's mummy there. Hawass has done such a great amount of damage, in my opinion, to, us understanding our history. So much has been covered up completely intentionally. And so, it's just sad, but it's coming out. It is coming out. So some of the elongated skulls of Paracas have been tested for DNA. No match was found with any existing life form on Earth. From sources within the American Black Ops circuit, however, the secret operations of the Illuminati, we get the impression that it's been known for ages who these strange skulls belong to. Not only that, they even work together with those entities. Preston Nichols, a technical engineer who worked for the ultra-secret Montauk Project near New York, declared all kinds of negative extraterrestrials were involved in the project, including greys and reptilians. Humanoids from Sirius A system also participated. According to him, these were the same people that were worshipped as gods in ancient Egypt. They have longer heads and larger eyes than we do. Most other sources, though, say these negative humanoids did not originate from Sirius A, but from Sirius B. So, again, there's some differences in opinion there.
You're always going to have that. Definitely lots of differences in opinions, but I think the truth is going to come out at some point, and I don't know. We have some interesting musical equipment in the background. I'm going to go try to find it. Excuse me.
Yeah, we have some sort of, I don't know what it is. It's like a computer playing music in the background, but I don't know. We don't have any computers in the background. So, moving over to this area, native tribes in the mountains of China and Tibet and the Dogon tribe in Mali, Africa also tell of long past contacts with visitors from the Sirius star system. But they seem to be yet another Sirian race, some kind of water beings who look a bit like mermaids. Well, yeah, they are still here. Absolutely, they are still here. Owans, Dagon, that type of being. The priest of the Dogons told Western researchers about the existence of yet a third star in the system, Sirius C, much earlier than the mainstream science discovered in 1995. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Richard Thompson, a great researcher, done a lot of books talking about the Vedic worldview and all the things that are there hidden in the Hindu tradition that have been borne out one after the other after the other. The whole concept of a multiverse, the fact that we're living in a holographic reality that's projection from a different density, the shape and size and span of the galaxy that we are in, and the fact that there's hundreds of thousands of humanoid species in our galaxy alone. All this is just common knowledge. Not in the West, but yes, to the people of the Indus Valley area. Absolutely common knowledge.
And yes, Robbie, Sirius, she did definitely volunteer to work on you. She is one of my favorite crystals to work on people with and get them connected to their star system. That was a lot of fun.
So, whether this one skull is real or not, it probably doesn't really matter because there are others as well. And then it gets you thinking about Herne the Hunter, right? The Horned Man. The myth of Herne the Hunter. Did they make the devil out of the myth of Herne the Hunter or Cernunnos as well? Well, again, it was common practice, and we know it's the case, that warring tribes, opposing people, would take the gods of the enemy and turn them into their devils and demons.
I believe so. It's something that it's a time where things were a lot different, but I think we're moving into those times now.
Some have equated Herne the Hunter, the Lord of the Wild and of the Woods. Oh, wow. Here you go. Here's a Chinese woman with a horn. And is that real too? Are these leftover DNA markings? Some have said that Herne the Hunter, Cernunnos, is really a form of Shiva. Perhaps, So what's going on with this lady? Look at this horn.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Is it, again, a little DNA mixture from eons ago that's just showing itself?
You know, it's got to be, because when you're looking in Vedic astrology, like we were talking about earlier, demons, daemons, it's very, very close language and spelling. Maybe that was a thing. Maybe they were elementals of a very powerful nature. And when you do look at in someone's chart and see that about them, it just means that they're here to go against the grain. They are here to make change, positive change, and show other people that there's a different way of doing things, a better way.
Yeah, Alex Collier's a lot of funds, and Havoc was talking about that. And then also the fact that he's starting to think North American region was actually northern Kemet because of Arizona. There is, I will try to dig up something from this gentleman. There's a gentleman that covers a lot of that type of thing over here, and the Real American History. We listened to probably half a dozen of his podcasts on the road. Yeah, kind of similar thinking. You know, this is the old world is his conclusion. This is the old world. And then is this really the center? You know, the Americas. Are the Americas really the center, the focal point of Atlantis, or what was Atlantis? Was this, you know, basically the hub of Atlantis?
Could be.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's all fascinating, and I wonder what her story is with the horn there. Crazy, crazy times. Crazy times have always been here. 10 forbidden and creepy claims of giant human skeletons. Well, this is talking again about that one with the horns there, over 7 feet tall, about the mysterious mounds of Iowa. There's a lot interesting in Iowa. Iowa over to Nebraska too. Fascinating stuff that we talked about. There was an instance where people saw the sun stand still for a period of time. I think it was in the 1880s. They mentioned it before in a previous video. I forget if it was Jared Boosters or Lucius Aurelian that covered it. But fascinating, and you know, obviously it's not necessarily the sun standing still, but it really gets me thinking about you know, mothership, you know, doing something. But here you go again. These are just typical examples. Newspaper article, 1897. Matter of official record. Scientists dug up bones of a 7'6" giant human skeleton, but the bones crumbled to dust when brought out to the air, but the team did find many artifacts with the corpse. In another Iowa mound, archaeologists allegedly discovered a chamber in which they found 11 skeletons, all kneeling with their backs to the wall, arranged in a circle around a giant seashell that they used to drink from. Was it some sort of mass suicide or something? Very, very curious. You know, there's just case after case of giants in the Ozarks. Absolutely. Full of giants. Again, full of giant, you know, burial mounds in, you know, Louisiana too, Mississippi as well. This one in Ohio, again, over 8 foot tall. Ohio's loaded with them. And in Ohio too, there are some spots that have pretty creepy energy when you go south of Columbus. I'm just saying from past hiking, man, it's pretty creepy. I find it creepy, these old videos. There's something creepy about this, the way people are looking, and it just feels so not like now, doesn't it? Am I the only one that finds these fascinating, but at the same time a little creepy?
I've always thought that they were very uncomfortable in their thick dresses and coats and stuff.
And look at that house on the cliff.
It's gonna fall off.
Holy cow, it looks so precarious, but so Tartarian. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it is beautiful, but I wouldn't be walking out to look at the ocean, no.
And this is California. They do get earthquakes. So this is between 1896 1906 in California.
Very interesting. Oh, and then why are the kids in shorts, but, well, some aren't? I don't know. It just seems so stuffy and hot.
It seems weird, and there is a weirdness to these videos that we see. It's almost like the people are being woke up from having long sleeping spells or something, and there's amnesia, and the cities look so big, and they're going around in horse-drawn carriages, and it just feels way off.
Well, how do they have the technology and manpower to make such big buildings, yet they only have horses and people? It just doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't feel like it fits. It feels like these were, could there be that these were replacements for a different population that perhaps were, genetically altered in some way, shape, or form, maybe to, not have active pineal glands?
I don't know. It all looks just really, it just doesn't fit. The pieces are not fitting together. The buildings, the people, the manpower that they don't have to create the buildings. And then who writes the Wikipedia pages? That's what I want to know.
It's fascinating. And what about this? Megalithic Marvels. He does a great job. Interesting earth anomaly in the Western Sahara. It's got numbers on it. We just saw this before we started, and I didn't get a chance to verify it, but we'll take a peek at it. But again, I'll have the links for you guys too. What's going on there? What is really going on? Gosh, you could spend all day going on Google Earth and finding odd things that just seem to defy any sort of logic or reasoning.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that's very curious, and there's not enough time to get to it, but we're going to try.
It makes me think of the Eye of the Sahara, and what Jimmy Corsetti did years ago, saying that this was Atlantis. I think it was another outpost of Atlantis. Atlantis was basically global, but in the bigger scale of things, when Atlantis fell, I think amnesia came over so much of mankind. And, just slightly off topic, but if we did have some sort of pole shift, there are those that think that we might actually fall under an amnesia spell because of the change in magnetic frequencies.
I think we will. It would, because we're magnetic beings, we're run by energy fields, and our energy fields can carry different magnetic energies to it. Like your legs are different than your chest. So if those fields were flipped, it's really going to do some interesting things to the human body. Hopefully not damage, though.
No, and Jed's talking about the Phoenicians. That's to me, the Phoenicians were obviously survivors of Atlantis. That's what it really feels like. And again, you look at this. Wait a minute, there's 3 dogs, or wait a minute, one of them looks a little different. But if you're raised with the dogs, will you become a dog? How about with humans? Are there any humans that are not quite human like the rest of us? Could be.
Could very well be. And I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you for the membership, John and Jen. And thank you, Mario and Israel, for last time. I didn't mention that, but I want to say thank you for all of our Patreons, all of our thumbs up. We appreciate the support, and we're going to do some dings. So find a happy place. Here we go. Oh, wait, are we done? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Source bless and namaste.
Much love, guys. Thank you so much. We couldn't do this without